Wow, what powerful times we're in, really. This is Koji from Celestial Rhythms. This is tomorrow's solar eclipse, the central eclipse, the mid-eclipse as calculated for Greenwich, which is the global chart, the zero meridian at 51:29 degrees northern latitude, which is 1/7 of the arc, exactly 51:26, but a very powerful place on this planet. Yes, it has been decided by humanity to make this a zero meridian, but that's how it works. We are co-creators in that sense. So anyway, that is where this chart is cast for. And these are the heliocentric planets you see now. So let's just get started here with the 0 degrees 08 Cancer rising and the Aquarian midheaven. So let's start with the Cancer energy, which is all about roots and honoring where we are coming from. It's that emotional nourishment which is sustaining life on this planet. The moon's energy. Cancer is the mothering sign. It's a beautiful, beautiful chart of a rebirth in a very grounded and connected way with that Aquarian energy at the top of the chart and Jupiter and Saturn right at the 9th house cusp. How much more beautiful could it be? That is that Christmas star, has been mentioned by quite a few astrologers. That's probably what in that story of the three kings following the star, that likely was also very close Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, which always show up in that close proximity at the beginning of a new age, at the new big round of history. Jupiter and Saturn being the two largest planets of our solar system. Jupiter is the king amongst planets, Saturn is the gatekeeper. They are the two heavyweights in that sense, the two social planets, and they rule their 20-year cycle, or in a bigger way 200 years or 800-year cycle, shows the society's development through many stages and phases. For the last 2 centuries, Jupiter and Saturn were solely meeting in earth signs. That was a very materialistically oriented time. Naturally, as we all know, we just come out of that. With this first conjunction in the air trine, there was one before in 1980 till 2000, and then we retrograded into the Dark Ages for another 20 years. We're just finally at that critical point where we come fully out of the Dark Ages into the lightness of the air element, that mobility, that flexibility, that fastness, speed, but also very light in spirit, spirited Gemini, Libra and Aquarius would imply that we really are opening to a new level of reality, that we are getting out of the dense into the more ethereal. Aquarius is the only sign which consists of two lines which are not connected. If you look at the symbols, actually Libra is the other one. So Libra and Aquarius, right, they both have that being in sync with each other, particularly in the Aquarian symbol. It is that flowing along almost without touching one another. Jupiter and Saturn up here, this is the philosophical house, this is higher wisdom, truth, knowing. Jupiter also is the energy of the teacher, the guru, the greater cosmos, very Sagittarian energy. And as you know, this eclipse tomorrow is in Sagittarius, which is making Jupiter a very special planet in this chart. Jupiter also is in the Aries dwart. 2.5 to 5 is the Pisces, and from 5 till 7.5 the Aries dwart, which means it's an additional layer, an overtone of pioneering, of going courageously into the unknown. And that's exactly what is happening as we speak, and ever more so. There's like the curtains are pulled open. Here a little bit, there a little bit, not yet completely, but eventually there will be coming that moment when things start going really fast. Still kind of in the preparation phase, getting ready, getting attuned inside. Okay, so let me now jump to actually three more things I want to mention here. So this is the heliocentric geometry. Note Mercury at 1340 Sagittarius, which is the United States rising degree, 1313 to be exact, the 1776 4th of July chart, according to Dane Rudihar, who did that rectification. Probably the greatest astrologer of the 20th century, Dane Rudihar. So 13 degrees Sagittarius, that's the American nation's ascendant, Mercury right here, and 13 degrees and 19 minutes is the Earth in the American nation's chart. And here we have this American nation's Earth right at that mirror point between Mercury and Pallas. How beautiful is that? I want to say about that something about that in a second. Just bear with me. So Pallas is leading this group of planets: Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter, Pallas. So Pallas is kind of the one which is taking the lead, which already has visited all these three other planets and gotten started on a new mutual cycle with them. First Pluto, then Saturn, then Jupiter. So Pallas is freshly recharged by these social and collective planets. Pallas is intelligence, the ability to see patterns and to research. Its art and science, which Pallas is patron of. Pallas also is the justice and the truth, in that sense, to strive toward truth and justice. Strongly placed here in the ninth house again. So what I want to say is, it's almost like this vibrates the American nation alive and livens their spirit. Because not only is the Earth here in between, it's a inconjunct, a yacht, actually two inconjuncts to the American nation's Sun, which would be here at 1319 Cancer, 150 degrees and 150 degrees here, and here 60. That's an inconjunct, or a two inconjuncts I should say. It's known as a yacht, the finger of God. This is a powerful energetic alignment and like sending arrows here up to the American nations, being their essence in a way. That's what the sun represents, the spirit. The sun being really the most important factor in astrology. We cannot underestimate that. The sun is the center of our universe, in that sense, of our world. The sun is constantly supplying us with energy. We are extensions of the sun, really. Life only is possible because we have our sun at that exact right distance. Anyway, the long and short, Mercury and Pallas are extremely auspicious placed for the American nation to wake up. Now here is also Huya, which is a smaller planet lately found approaching the American nation's ascendant here. Huya is named after a Venezuelan rain god. It's also connected to winter, and it is a force of transformation and of making peace with what we come out of. Therapy and the concept of transforming our past to understand where we're coming from, to understand its value too, not just that it was difficult, but to understand that all the difficulties we have gone through individually and collectively have given us enormous depth, emotional profundity, if you want, profoundness, or whatever the best word would be here. So there is something of that which is really transforming from deep within on an individual level, and many individuals coming together, and then this kind of grows organically. It's very beautiful. Ishion I want to mention here too, quickly. Ishion is in that axis of the ascendant and the descendant, and also want to say quickly the last solar eclipse of June 21st, 2020, which also was an even more powerful place in the zodiac. It was right at the 0 degree Cancer. So this eclipse is activated again in this chart, and Ishion is transforming the passion, the for the lower frequency band. It's transforming this energy up to a much higher level of compassion, passion into compassion. That is really the like the butterfly being born out of the cocoon and transforming all these lower frequency energies. That's what's happening collectively, and that's very prominent again in the United States. And I will show you, but actually this is the global chart. It's a global thing, which is beautiful. The other one I want to mention here is that pair. This is Vesta, the holy fire. Vesta is the keeper of the flame, the hearth at the center of the house. It is that commitment to a higher goal, to something of an ideal, to work towards an ideal. And there is Pherois, the mother bear's fierceness to protect her cubs. in Leo. So we have lots of Leo energy here at the base of this chart, and this is very powerful, particularly so because Cancer is rising. Cancer is the fourth sign in the zodiac, so this is empowering that fourth house cusp. This is really where our power comes from collectively right now. The holy fire within humanity has been awakened, kindled to life. It might still take a little while for it to become fully visible, but it's already growing at an accelerated rate. Okay, so let's now go into the expression of that energy as we see it from the planet Earth, and particularly so from Washington, D.C. So that's tomorrow morning, 11:13 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, when the sun and the moon will have their most close encounter, when down in Chile and Argentine, that's where the total path of the eclipse will pass through. That's where the center is hit, where the eclipse is longest. It is a total eclipse, and it is interesting that the moon is still slightly shy of exactly meeting the sun. You see it's 2 minutes so far. That's because of the geometry of where exactly the moon is in relation to Earth. So it's still a little bit shy of full, but it is it covers as much of the sun as possible in that cycle. So this is an interesting thing always to watch for in any eclipse. Some eclipses form shortly before the exact alignment. In this example here, new moon, or slightly after, which changes the energy of the eclipse in general. So one which is still slightly closing in means we are still in the finishing phase of a much larger cycle. This could be seen as the very last stage we're entering into of that longer cycle. And an eclipse, each eclipse is part of a longer cycle of roughly 1300 years. In these 1300 years, when a new series, a new Saros series, and that's what I have marked here, that is Saros series 142. They're cataloged, you can look them up on, you could just put in total solar eclipse and you will get all these links if you're interested in finding out more. Very interesting. It means that the first eclipse of that family happened quite some time ago. I think it's this chart here. Yes, that is the one. 1624. That was the first eclipse of that series. And then, like a spiral, every 18 years, there's a new member of that series getting closer to the to equator, and then again migrating out to the other side. So if the first eclipse happened, let's say in the north, close to North Pole, then the last of that family will happen 13 centuries later or so at the South Pole. So we will get back to this chart, just wanted to throw this in. This is again the one for Washington, D.C. Beautiful, beautiful here, that degree at the rising sign 2759, that's where the American nation's moon is. You wouldn't believe that. 2712 Aquarius. It's that Aquarian spirit which definitely has been the driving force which allowed that nation to prosper through all these challenges. It's that light at the end of the tunnel, I guess you could call it, where, I mean, in 1776, when the nation was formed, this was a great moment, definitely wonderful visions, but it was still quite a journey to arrive where we are now. There has been a maturing process going on. I mean, after all, 244 years is not old for a nation, and indeed that was a totally new beginning, coming out of the Dark Ages, coming out of all that power structures of the old world, and planting a new seed, giving space for a whole new idea. Those forefathers of the nation, they had a wonderful vision. Freedom, prosperity, sovereignty to each and every one of their citizens. That was really on their minds, and it took a while to get there, but we're just about there. Oh, Yahtzee, you're silly. Now you turned my